month we have, as the tradition of religious science, talked about the foundation, the basic philosophy of religious science as taught by Ernest Holmes. So Ernest Holmes had his birthday on January the 21st. He would have been 125 years old. And still he lives. Absolutely. He was quite a character. And I just thought that I wish that I had known him. And some people that I know knew him. So I'm like second generation Ernest Holmes. So this month we have, first we talked about there's only one. That is the basic foundation of our philosophy. There's only one. And God is everywhere and everything. And Ernest Holmes called it the thing itself rather than God. Because when we define God and name God, it is limiting. And so Ernest Holmes called it the thing itself. So that's the first principle that is very basic to our teaching. There is only one. And that means that you and I, the stars, the sky, the plants, the sun, it's all God. It is all the thing itself. And then the second principle that we talked about is that if you change your thinking, you change your life, because your thoughts are creative. That's part of the thing itself, the law. Now, you don't have to believe in a deity or a creative force or a creative source to know that your thoughts are creative, that what you think is what you get. But if you add the element of the deity, the essence, the thing itself, then your thoughts are more in alignment with the harmony of the universe. And then the third principle that we talked about this month is that we believe in affirmative prayer. So rather than beseeching God, the thing itself, rather than putting our begging prayers into the law, we can know and claim the good for ourselves. So that's the third principle that we have talked about. So this final week, what we're going to talk about is that we are punished by our sins rather than for them. Let me say that again. We're punished by our sins rather than for them. Meaning that because there is a law and the law of reciprocity, that what we put out is what we get back. Therefore, if we put out spiteful, ugly thoughts, then those spiteful, ugly thoughts are going to be returned to us. And therefore, we're punished for those spiteful, ugly thoughts or behaviors. Now, this really clarifies the locus of God. It clarifies that God is everywhere present. There isn't some guy sitting on a throne with a lightning zapper to punish us. We are punished by our own behaviors, our own thoughts. Ernest Holmes said this in the glossary of the Science of Mind book. He says, and I quote, "There is no sin but a mistake, and no punishment but a consequence. It is the law of cause and effect. Sin is merely missing the mark. God does not punish sin. As we correct our mistakes, we forgive our own sins." So sin itself, the word itself, is based on the Aramaic archery term, which means to miss the mark. And therefore, when we sin, we have missed the mark. And we can be forgiven our sins when we correct our mistake. It's a law of reciprocity. When we are spiteful, that comes back to us. So let me tell you the story of my spite. Now, I'm not proud of this, but it's very demonstrative. It demonstrates the whole principle. I was a busy mom, and I had 2 boys that were involved in soccer. So one day after school, we were headed off to soccer practice, and the soccer field was in a residential area. I was late, and there were no parking spaces. So I found one that was on the street, and it was just the right size for my little car. And I slid into it. There was a driveway, and I got out, and I actually looked to make sure that I hadn't parked over the driveway. And I hadn't. And I looked up, and there was a man standing in his window. And because I had checked, I smiled and waved. And then we went to soccer. When we came out of soccer, the policeman was just leaving after having given me a ticket for blocking the driveway. And the man from inside is screaming, 5 feet away from the drive, 5 feet away from the drive. And the boy said, he called the police. And he had. I gave them the standard mother conversation about, he's a sad, old, unhappy man. And we cannot be mad at him or ugly at him because he is a sad, old, angry man. And it nagged at me. I was saying the party line, oh, forgive him. And inside, I was furious. That stayed with me, all evening. When I was preparing dinner, I was, and I had to pay a tough fine. And I had been very diligent, and then it came to me. I could put nails in this driveway. I'm not proud of it. But it really was a big relief. It made me laugh, and then I just let go of it. So, as I said, I was a busy mom. And the next day, I was living in Pueblo, Colorado, and the next day I had to drive to Colorado Springs on business, which is about 60 miles, about an hour's drive there and back. And I managed to get back before the boys got out of school, so I stopped at the mall. And when I was at the mall, a cab driver was going, honk, honk, honk. And he said, your tire is flat. Honest to the thing itself, honest to God. So the AAA came.
I had a nail in your tire.
Oh no!
It was the biggest honking nail you had ever seen. It was like the universal lightning nail, like. So that's what happens when you have spite. It always comes back. Now my God has got a terrible sense of humor. Therefore, it was like the the comic nail that you would see in a comic strip, but I didn't miss the message. What you think is what you get. If you wish ill on someone, it's gonna slap you in the face. Now, do I know that lesson? I'm getting better. But the truth of the matter is, I forget. I don't know about you all, but sometimes there's a little joy in those spiteful thoughts. And then I remember the name. It's gonna stick you every time. Aesop had this fable I want to share with you. It goes like this. In the days of yore, when the world was young, a bee that had stored her combs with a bountiful harvest flew up to heaven to present as a sacrifice an offering of honey. Jupiter was so delighted with the gift that he promised to give her whatsoever she should ask for. She therefore besought him, saying, "O glorious Jupiter, maker and master of me, poor bee, give thy servant a sting, that when anyone approaches my hive to take the honey, I will kill him on the spot." Jupiter, out of his love to man, was angry at her request, and thus answered her, "Your prayer shall not be granted in the way you wish, but in the sting which you ask for, you shall have. When anyone comes to take away your honey and you attack him, the wound shall be fatal, not to him, but to you. For your life shall go with your sting." So even Jupiter knew that what you put out is what you get back. And you can want to sting someone, but it's actually going to kill you. And the moral to the story, according to Aesop's fables, is evil wishes, like chickens, come home to roost. So, that's the fourth principle of our teaching. That when you have negative, harsh thoughts about other people, that's going to affect you, and it's going to come back on you. So we talk about the scales of justice. And the truth of the matter is, that's a metaphysical principle. That if you are wishing ill on someone else or behaving in a way that is vindictive or spiteful, then that's going to come back to you. And the way to maintain your life is to stand in the center, to be centered in your understanding of spirit, and trusting and knowing that you are judged not by God, but you are judged by yourself. That your behavior, your thoughts, your ideas are what are going to cause you to be out of balance, to have negative examples in your life. Now, I want to remind you of the final sentence of Ernest Holmes in his glossary description of what sin is. He says, "As we correct our mistakes, we forgive our own sins." As we correct our mistakes, we forgive our own sins. So here's the thing. When we people. When we hash on and hash on and hash on about our own personal regrets, we are creating our future. It is a law of cause and effect. We can always change our thinking to change our life. So it is about thinking aright. It is about staying in the center and knowing and trusting that no matter what, if we stay centered, if we stay in the moment, then all things will eventually flow in perfection. It is when we hash over the past and go over it and over it and over it that we are really in prayer creating our tomorrows. Because thoughts are things, and they are creative, and we are always in prayer. We are always in prayer by our thoughts. So when we stay centered and we stay in the divine essence, when we stay in love, then we are creating the good that we are seeking. We're looking at, on the 30th, the beginning of the 64 days of nonviolence. And that means that when we stay centered, when we practice peace in our own lives, we are creating a future for peace, of peace. And there are those that say that that is impossible, that humankind can never be peaceful. And when people say that, and when they believe it, that's what they're creating. So to say that the world will never be at peace is to be creating a world that will never be at peace. But on the other hand, when you and I live peace, we are creating peace in our own life. And we can only do that one person at a time. I cannot cause peace throughout the world. But I can cause peace within my world. When I stay centered and focused in love. When I allow transgressions against me to nag at me, I am creating my own disquiet. I am in sin. And when I allow myself to stay in center, to stay in peace, to stay in harmony, I am then creating my own world of peace. It cannot be otherwise. It is a law. And just as I step off this platform, it's down because of the law of gravity. If I fall, which I do frequently, it is a response to a law. When I think harmonious thoughts, it is using that same law of the universe. It cannot be otherwise. When I am at peace, I am creating peace. When I'm angry and vindictive, I am creating anger and a lot of strife for myself. It's totally up to me, because I am in charge of my own thinking. I am totally capable of changing my thinking and changing my life. And as that's true for me, it's true for each one of us. And when we create a life, a personal life of peace, it's like a ripple effect. When you let your light shine with love and harmony, then that love and harmony, because it's the law, is spreading. It cannot be otherwise. There is no big old guy in the sky judging us. There's only the little divine spark within that is shining forth, creating a world that we choose to live in, a world of love and harmony and peace, a world devoid of sin. I love you all. Namaste. So I would invite the practitioners to stand with me and hold the consciousness as we speak our word of truth, as we speak into the law. Steve, would you join us? Steve just came to us, and he's a practitioner student, so he'll be joining our powerful group. So, I invite you to join with me as I turn within to that place that is creative, the place where the thing itself dwells within each of us. And at this moment of awareness, I allow myself to correct my thinking. I allow myself to forgive anything that I have been harboring that is not in harmony and not in alignment with the divine idea of love. I give myself the gift of forgiveness. Anything that I have done that I regret, any behavior, any thought that I have expressed or experienced, I release, knowing fully that that release is powerful, it's creative. So I give myself the gift of harmony, of love and peace. I give myself the power to create a peaceful, joyful, loving life. It's a choice I make. And from that place, all that is in discord, all that is in disharmony, allows itself to become peaceful. When I change my thinking, when I release my old beliefs of self-condemnation, self-hatred, self-regret, I stand in the new place. It is truly as though I am being reborn. Because I come to a place of fresh peace and love and harmony. I get to start with a clean slate. I get to forgive all. And all is well from that spot. It is my choice. And for myself, I choose that. And on behalf of each one present, I choose that. For all that I am in discord with, I choose a different way. For all that I am in disharmony with, I choose a different way to view them, to see them, to experience them. And so at this moment, at this powerful space of choice, I claim only good. And I give thanks for the tools of the universe, the tools of the thing itself that allows me to begin anew. And I just step out of the way. I allow God, that powerful presence of all good, to circulate in every area of my life. And if you choose that for yourself, I invite you to own it with me by declaring it done and by saying, and so it is. Thank you. We have another song.